Hi, I'm a little early. I am just here to test the audio. The last time I was here, my audio was not working. And so I just want to make sure that you can hear me and that the audio is working. And if all of that is happening, can you just, I see Caitlin is here. It seems like Caitlin is typing. It's working. Yay, I'm so happy. Caitlin, hi. Did you see the last video that I posted here last month? I'm super excited about, like, last month I got the times mixed up and the audio didn't work, and all the things were not working really well. So hopefully this month everything works really, really well. How's everyone feeling? How are you feeling so far? Yeah, I'm excited that you're here too. I have a community of people that I serve in other spaces, and the feedback I've been getting from my community is that there's a collective death zone that people are feeling right now. And I didn't realize everyone else was feeling it. I was feeling it pretty intensely at the beginning of September. And then I wrote about it and I kind of moved through it. But when I wrote about it and I posted it on Facebook and Instagram, so many people came out of the woodwork saying that they were in that same death zone. And I'm going to actually talk about it a little bit in this conversation today, because it actually inspired me to start an entire workshop series, like a free workshop series about why the death zone exists and how to use the natural forces and rhythms of nature. And so I have this whole thing that I created as a response to my personal death zone. And I felt it was so inspiring to see something so creative come out of that death. And so if people are feeling that in their lives right now, I sort of want to address it, because it's astrologically sound to be having that experience, but not necessary. How have you been feeling lately, Caitlin? Oh, maybe you're not there anymore. Oh, we're officially supposed to be starting in 2 minutes, and I put a call in to Emily on Voxer, and so I think she'll be joining us as well. I hope. But even if she doesn't, it's okay. I see Caitlin is typing. Basically, as an astrologer, I'm aware that we have a natural death zone that we go through about a month before we have our birthday, and it's just the closure of that solar cycle, and the closure part of the cycle feels like the old cycle is dying, the old character that we've been playing is dying, the old year is closing, and so there are certain qualities that we feel, but it's not just before our birthday that we feel it. There's lots of other reasons, especially with all of the outer planets in retrograde right now. Caitlin says, I've been feeling a bit overwhelmed lately, busy with 2 children and my husband working away a lot. Wow, that does sound very overwhelming. I hear that. So it's officially 3:00 p.m. my time. This is officially our start time. And so I'm going to go ahead and get started. And if people end up joining us, that will be fantastic. If not, then at least they'll be able to watch the recording of this video later. And I trust that everyone will receive whatever they're meant to receive in this moment. So the month of October, when I looked at the month ahead and I looked at what was happening in relationship to the whole year and the months that are beyond, my feeling is in October, we are ready to be authentic and raw with our next level of growth. We're ready to be authentic and raw with our next level of growth. That implies that we just went through a death zone. We went through a massive transition. We went through a big shift, and now we are humble. We are stripped to the actual reality of our life, and we realize that it's time to grow. And so all of that's implied as we open October. And we have quite a few big astrological movements in October that I think we'll all be happy to be aware of. I'm going to share those dates with you. In fact, after this live is over, I'm going to take a screenshot of my dates and I'm going to actually post it in this group. So if you don't catch one, or if I don't mention one while I'm going through the list, you'll have a picture of it so that you can reference it. But before I even go into any of that, I just want to talk about this death zone just for a second, so that if you've been feeling any of these ways, I want you to know it's okay. It's collective and it's important. And this is based on, I have over 50 people enrolled in a workshop that all I did was talk about this, and everyone sort of showed up for it. So I know that this is happening kind of collectively. Basically, the death zone is not like a literal, like, you could be facing people actually dying in your life, which puts you in touch with the stark reality of what's going on. And with eclipse season starting in Scorpio, with all of this, death is definitely something that's close to us right now and is bringing some transformation to our lives. But when I talk about the death zone, I'm really talking about our character death or ego death or identity death. And it can bring up a lot of anxieties as we're releasing and dissolving old identity structures. So what that could feel like somatically is that you just don't really feel like yourself. Something feels off and you're acting out of character. Like if you used to be calm, cool, and collected, you're acting just the opposite. You don't really have a buffer zone to keep that calm, cool, collected state. You're lacking basic cohesiveness from moment to moment. Like you don't know you're not who you used to be, but you don't know who you're fully becoming yet. So that's the first sign that you're entering into the death zone. The second sign is that you're having a hard time connecting with your passion, or to keep up the momentum of things you started months ago or even a few days ago. You don't remember why you do what you do anymore, but you don't really have anything that you'd rather be doing besides literally anything that doesn't require you to think or produce or be smart or be clever. This is my kitty, by the way. We just got this kitty. He's very, very good. And so that's number two, that you just can't really be in touch with your passion and you don't really feel capable of fulfilling what you initially had a lot of energy for. Number three, you have uncomfortable, detached feelings, making you question and evaluate what you truly value. This leaves you contemplating your direction and previous investments. The energy either slows you down and makes you really conservative with your money, like you're like shut down financially, you're not buying things, like you're like saving, you're just saving and constricting, or it makes you blow cash on huge things to try and change the feelings you have and give you a spike of adrenaline. So there could be that thing too, where you're like super, super conservative and then you just blow it all on a brand new washer dryer or something like that. Like, or you blow it all on like a course, or you just spend your money on something because you're trying to change the feeling. You're just trying to do something to make it different. So that's number three, that you're feeling a little detached. Number four is that there's a strange sensation of limbo, like you're waiting for the mojo to come back. And even though you have felt this way before, you never really like it. Shouldn't you be doing something? This is the feeling you have. You're like, God, I know I should be doing something, right? This like, it's so anxious. And then number five, you get intense sparks and peaks of insight that overwhelm you to tears. These feel like a burst of energy and heart-opening expansion and gratitude that seem to come out of nowhere. They remind you that all of this is going to be okay, and then they disappear just as fast as they dropped in. So that is that was my somatic experience of the death zone. And I wrote about it and posted it, and the response was huge. So if anyone has been feeling that way, it's collective. And I believe it was so that it would get us to this point where we are ready to be authentic and raw with our next level of growth. So what are the dates this month that we could be tuning into to really help facilitate our growth and get our feet back on the ground and help us to feel like we're fully moving into the version of ourselves that is being birthed right now after we've completed such a interesting cycle of dissemination. So the second, yep, Gail says, yes, that's me. On October 2nd, well, I can actually talk, I can kind of backtrack just a little bit. I'm going to post a video here where I talked about this week. This week, we have some pretty nice movements. Mercury is still retrograding, but it's retrograding back through Virgo. So part of the reason why I'm talking about the death zone and I'm offering this free workshop, which I'll drop the credentials for everyone in Emily's group, because I want to contribute to you all thriving. It's a workshop that touches on the 6 basic areas of life, and that's such a Virgo thing. We're at this point with Mercury in Virgo, we're touching on, okay, but does my life actually work? Do I have enough money? Is my body healthy? Is my mind right? Do I have my mind right? Is my home actually supporting my life? What about fun and pleasure? Is there any space for that? And how do I nourish my spiritual integrity? My spiritual hygiene? These are the base levels of Virgo. And while Mercury is still retrograde through Virgo, we're definitely asking ourselves those questions right now. And it's so earth-based and it's so tangible and it's so real. And it could feel very overwhelming because the earth is it's a dense place. And when one of these areas doesn't work, it can definitely pull from all the other areas and create this imbalanced wheel. So we're really meant to have Venus harmonizing, moving into Libra, the sun in Libra. We're trying to bring some of that balance and harmony to these areas of our life right now. And it can feel like a make or break time. And I'm here to just encourage all of you to know that even if it feels overwhelming or like a make or break moment, there's an infinite amount of grace in the universe, and the universe has set up a beautiful protocol that we will move through. Whether it's graceful or not, how we move through it is kind of up to us, but in any case, we're going to move through it and it's going to be okay, and it's going to set us up properly for 2023 if we could just trust, if we can just have faith, and if we could just surrender. So on the 2nd of October, Mercury will move direct, and it will move direct in Virgo. So we still have this window of time until October 2nd to really evaluate that kit, evaluate that foundation part of life. And then it will move, and it'll be like setting these foundations, putting the stepping stones in place and actually taking that movement. By the 8th of October, Pluto will begin moving direct again, direct in Capricorn. Basically, Pluto's been retrograde for about 6 months now. And when Pluto's retrograde, the force of evolution is sort of like leaving us up to our own devices. The force of transformation evolution is like, all right, do what you can with the rubble that I just created and figure it out. And then it retrogrades back, and then it moves forward and is like, okay, did you move through that stuff? And Capricorn stuff is, did you evaluate your values? Have you been investing in things that will create a strong foundation for the rest of your life based on your values and based on building something that will last for you? That's what Capricorn energy is. It's the legacy. It's the thing that lasts. It's the thing that we invest in. So really, Pluto moving direct is saying, I'm almost done in Capricorn. I'm going to move into Aquarius in March of 2023. If you haven't changed your life to invest in what you truly value, I don't know what to tell you. Basically, this is what Pluto's saying. It's been grinding on us since 2008. And I think we all remember the shift that happened in 2008. I don't know if it happened in every country, but in 2008, a lot of things shifted regarding what we value and the economy and real estate and things like that. So it was just a big change. And if we were really at the pinnacle, the graduation point of that change, and hopefully we're really putting our investment of time, energy, and focus into things that feel congruent with us, feel aligned with our values, and feel sustainable for the future. Caitlin says the 8th is your birthday. Well, that's really cool. So Caitlin, you're totally in your death zone right now. You're like in the finishing touches. So your whole solar year is about to begin again on the 8th. So that overwhelming feeling, it's like par for the course. And I commend you for just being with your life, and just ask your family and loved ones for a little bit of compassion and patience as you're restructuring this new version of you that's coming as you rebirth yourself on your birthday. So then on the 9th, we have a full moon in Aries. Perfect full moon for a birthday. The full moon in Aries is this assertion of, okay, this is my raw and real expression. This is who I'm growing into. This is how I'm showing up as a soul. This is the reflection of that. And I'm seeing it in my relationships. I'm seeing it while the sun is in Libra. And so you might have experiences in your relationships where you get a chance to really choose who you're going to be in that moment. What character are you going to play in this sacred drama that you're experiencing in that moment? And on the 10th, Mercury will move into Libra, and it'll be like, okay, you've asserted who you are, you've shown up, hooray. And now Mercury's saying, now let's create a nice, harmonic, beautifully balanced, nonviolent communication relationship from this place that I am, from this new space I've grown into. So I would expect some, this is like having breakthroughs in therapy. This is that like big conversation where you start finding solutions with someone to something that's been kind of hard for a long time. So just kind of hold space for patience, compassion, curiosity around the 10th. And then on the 23rd, Saturn will move direct. So Saturn has also been retrograding since June. And when Saturn turned retrograde in June, it was like the manager stepped out of the boardroom and left all the, I'll be honest, I'm scared of these feelings. I feel like I'm on the verge of something big, but I feel like I'm on a ride coaster with no safety rail. That's a super real feeling. This is I talk about, okay, listen, I'm offering this free workshop right now. Everyone in this group can completely go to this. The recordings are posted in a place on my website. I talk about these 3 forces, and the force of chaos feels that way. And I talk at length about how scary that force of chaos actually is, but you'll find yourself in really good company in this workshop series, because you have actually moved out of the death zone and into the force of chaos. And you'll know what all of that means when you watch these videos, but just know this is an indication that you're doing it right. Not that there's a right and a wrong, but let me encourage you in knowing that, like, it is scary. No doubt it's very scary, because you basically let go of some certainty, and that can feel scary, but I know that that's what we're being asked to do right now. And so yeah, it'll pay off greatly once we get to some of these other elements that I'm talking about and the eclipses. You'll be set up you'll be set up to have a lot more faith and inner security with yourself by the end of this month. So on the 23rd, Saturn will turn direct. It moved retrograde in June. And like I said, when Saturn moved retrograde, basically Saturn's like the manager in the boardroom, and Saturn's like, but we've got to make it sustainable. We've got to make sure we include other people in this plan. You got to be thinking of a win-win-win scenario because you're not an island. You're together with all these people. So how is this plan going to be beneficial for all involved? So that was the manager. Then in June, the manager stepped out and was like, you guys figure it out. I'll be back in October. So all summer, we were just like, oh, okay, so what am I going to do with this freedom, this kind of temporary freedom now that the manager's not in the house, right? So it's kind of perfect. We played all summer. I don't know, you guys had winter, so it was a little different, but basically we just had a kind of an unstructured period of time with Saturn retrograding. And now that Saturn will be moving direct on the 23rd, that structure will come into place in a really strong way. All right, manager's back in the room. So what did you guys do? What did you guys plan? What are we gonna build out? How are we gonna implement this? So I feel like there'll be this energy of like, okay, let's get to work around the 23rd. Just in time for October 25th, when we have a new moon solar eclipse in Scorpio. The new moon solar eclipse in Scorpio is basically what it is. I don't want to freak anyone out. I have to be very careful with my languaging. It's a good thing, and it's releasing us from any types of dependencies that are not sustainable for the long haul. We had a precursor to this back during Taurus season in April, May. May. We had eclipses in Taurus and Scorpio. In April and May, we were like, oh, I want to give up this dependency. I want to create more sustainability for myself. I'm going to build something for myself in my life that will feel more supported. So we had from that period of time to this one, okay, so how did it go? Did you cultivate more inner security? Do you still feel very codependent? If we're still in strong dependencies, it will sort of feel like a rug's being pulled out from under us. All for our greatest good. It's all for the best. It's because that rug was never really supporting us anyway. It was an illusion and it was not sustainable. And so we may find around this eclipse that there are things that it won't be a surprise, I promise. It'll be things that you've known for a while needed to go, and you intended to let it go a long time ago, but you thought you still needed it. And, we all have like one or two things in our lives that, it's like, oh, okay, and this could be on a scale from like, you know what, that pattern in my relationship is just not working anymore, or I just don't feel like alive about this job anymore. All of that, all the way to like, okay, my relationship with sugar is just, I've been meaning to give it up, and now I really just have to give it up because I have this like side effect that I don't like anymore. So it could be even that. And so by the 25th, when we enter that eclipse portal, it's like a 2-week window, because first we have the new moon solar eclipse, then we'll have the full moon lunar eclipse, which will be in Taurus. So the solar eclipse will pull the rug out. The lunar eclipse will reflect on what we've done in response to that to cultivate greater personal security, internal security. And that will be into November, but we're still in October. So on the 28th, Jupiter will retrograde. Well, Jupiter's been retrograde, but Jupiter will move back into Pisces. Pisces is where Jupiter started this year. Jupiter moved through Pisces very quickly, and then it went into Aries. It got to like 8 degrees, and then it retrograded back into Pisces. It'll retrograde back a little bit, and then it will move forward and get back to Pisces by the beginning of this year, by the beginning of 2023. But we have just a little bit of a window, like a 2-month window in November and December of Jupiter just really helping to build our faith. It's just like, okay, we just need to invigorate your faith muscles a little bit more, because where you're going in 2023, you're going to require that faith. And I just want to remind you of what to have faith in. I want to remind you of all the beautiful connections to faith that you can have, so that you can carry that into the expansion of your new character as you move into 2023. So that will be starting to be cultivated by the 28th during this solar eclipse, the eclipse situation. So you can imagine, right? Like, let's say there's something that you were still sort of thinking you were dependent on. The rug gets pulled out from under you around the eclipse, and then you're like, whoa, all of a sudden you're like, okay, am I gonna fly? Am I gonna fly? And then Jupiter retrogrades into Pisces, and all like, wow, I'm flying. Oh my gosh, my faith in my wings. It's so incredible. It's like the Dumbo. Oh my gosh, the metaphor is Dumbo. Dumbo's got the feather, right? And he thinks like he's so dependent on the feather. And then in that one moment, in that one scene, the feather gets taken away and Dumbo's falling, and the mother and all the things. And Dumbo's like, oh, and then his ears come out and he flies without the feather. And it's like, oh my gosh, he never needed the feather. He never needed it. That is, I think, what we're going to experience to a degree in whatever capacity we're meant to. And then on the 29th, Mercury will move into Scorpio, and this is like the power that we access. This is the communication that we access. This is the transmissions we access from, oh my gosh, I'm flying. Like, what does this mean? That moment of truth of what does this mean begins a massive transformation process. It's so beautiful and it's perfect, but it's crazy because that transformation of what does this mean comes right before Mars turns retrograde on the 30th. Mars has been in Gemini since August. Mars will be in Gemini all the way till March. And Gemini is basically, while Mars has been in Gemini direct, Mars has been asking us to really double down on our beliefs, double down on our preferences, to like take massive action toward what we prefer, and to put down, to like make it, like, just claim it, do it, step forward. You can always course correct later, but get it in motion, go for it. So we've been getting it in motion and going for it since August to a certain degree. I'll be honest with you, I definitely didn't experience as much forward momentum as I thought I was going to, but what I did experience happened to be the type of forward momentum I needed, even though it looked totally different than I wanted it to. And that's because I had this placement through my health house. So I actually restructured my health and took massive action in that direction. And it looked like sickness. It looked like a few steps back for me. And so just know, even though you might not identify with, oh yeah, I took so much forward motion, sometimes progress looks like digressing. Sometimes we have to unweave the tapestry a little bit in order to lay down the weave in a more congruent and sustainable way. And when Mars turns retrograde on the 30th, it's like, okay, so you did a good job weaving so far. Now we learned so much. We're going to take the entire thing apart and we're going to build it up again from the beginning, starting in January. So don't get discouraged. We will be moving through Mars's retrograde in November and December, where it will feel like we're unweaving something that we will then put back together and put into motion in a way more informed, wise, and sustainable way for 2023. Because right when Mars moves out of Gemini into the next sign, we've got this huge changeover of Saturn and Pluto, like big change in March of 2023, but we're not there yet. I will definitely leave a synopsis for the year ahead I'm working on this massive document right now that's like every single transit for the year. I channel for each transit to like, well, what does that actually mean? And then I write down like questions for inquiry. So I'm currently working on that. Once I get that done, I'll be able to produce a 2023 year ahead video, and I'll make sure I share that with this group. But we have just about 4 minutes left during this live presentation. I know I just said a lot of stuff. I'm wondering if you're still with me, and I'm wondering if you have any questions. I know the people who are not live cannot be asking questions, but I just trust that whoever sees this, they can use it for their lives to give them encouragement, to help them to be more authentic and real with their lives, and to not be afraid. Like this is important stuff. This is part of the process. This is the good stuff. And it might not feel like the good stuff, but I had a teacher once, he called this experience, this part of the cycle, he called it the most sacred cycle. And he called it that because all of the grit and the energy and the jewels are found when we're in the cycle of discovery. And discovery is, yeah. Oh, Gail says she's in the middle of nowhere and the reception keeps dropping out. I'm so sorry, Gail, but you can watch the replay for sure. And I'm sure anyone who watches the replay, if you want to ask questions or comment, please do so. I'll be checking in periodically. I've loved it and will allow my body to go through the motions with it without resistance. Very, very good. I'm going to just leave some links and things to some extra resources if this resonated with you, and if you want to go deeper. My resources are free and available to this group, and so if you feel it'll serve you, please do. And yeah, I think that's all for this energy update. I'll be back next month, and I'm looking forward to hearing how the month played out for all of you. Until then, have a good October. Thank you so much. Bye.